But this evening we're looking at your personal finances, and in particular, what about your financial education? How do you get to know about what those statements that they send you actually mean? What is it that you do about learning about your own personal finances? If you don't think enough is actually being done, what do you think should be done? If you were the Minister for the Day of Financial Education, if there was one, what changes would you like to actually see implemented there? And what keeps you awake about the decisions that you've made? If you think you've made the wrong ones, give us a call on 0800 756 1111 or text us on 81333. Start your message with the word Kent. Now, I'm very happy to be joined on the line by Steve Corris, who is the Director of Quality and Training. And the charity MyBnk, which is MyBnk, MyBnk, that delivers education programmes to 7 to 25-year-olds in school and youth organisations. So the first question I have to actually ask there is, what is MyBnk?
Well, yes, when we started our charity 11 years ago, I guess we had a real feeling, a strong kind of sense of purpose to make sure that the financial education we delivered to young people was fun, engaging and relevant for them. So actually the first group of young people we ever worked with chose our name. This was back in the beginnings of tech language, so they chose the MyBnk as it's pronounced MyBank, but without the A, because they thought it was cool.
So it's a trendy name then. So what exactly is it that you do?
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction. I mean, yeah, as you say, so we design and deliver education programs, and we deliver them directly to young people in schools. So they started from primary schools at the age of 7, right up until 18-year-olds in schools, and then working with various groups with less formal education. So if you're between 16 and 25, whether you're going to university, or whether you're going to your first house, or you're leaving care, or you're getting your first job, really trying to impact the lives of young people at the moment where the kind of key transitions on as they kind of enter into adulthood.
So would you think that you're actually filling in the gap that the schools themselves should be delivering this type of education, would you think?
I think that we can add and supplement to what a school can and should do around financial education. So financial education is on the national curriculum at secondary school age, so key stage 3 and 4, 16-year-olds. And clearly schools have got lots and lots of different curriculum pressures that they're under, whether it be the statutory subjects of the maths and English, or whether it's the other topics of the day, whether it be mental health or sex and relationship education, all sorts of other things. So I think organisations like ours can go in and support schools to deliver, of course, what is a really important topic for everyone.
And this is the thing, Steve, for me, it is such a vital topic that affects everybody. You can't go through life without knowing about money, about pensions. I was talking with Pete earlier on about the complexities that comes with. And it just seems to me, personally, that I think that the schools should be doing a lot more. And you say it's actually on the curriculum, is it?
It is. So, yeah, it got put on the national curriculum in 2014 under citizenship, when citizenship came in as a statutory subject. And so I guess overall it's a sort of a fairly mixed picture. When MyBnk started 11 years ago, we were often arguing the case for financial education in schools, which we're certainly not doing now. It wasn't on national curriculum. So in many senses it's moved on. But I think it only has moved on when you look at it at a sort of high level. If you look at the detail, it's still pretty worrying. I mean, I guess the latest stats suggest that only half of young people actually get a financial education. And certainly what the system involves is that, unfortunately, Ofsted as an organisation have got, again, lots of pressures themselves. They must inspect the school to see what financial education that school provides and what quality it provides. And then they say only about 1% of the population, of the GCSE population, will do it as an exam, they'll do citizenship as an exam. So what we know is it's sort of statutory in principle, but to what extent it is delivered and the quality of what's being delivered then varies massively depending on where you are.
So it sounds a bit like my school report could do better.
Could do better. Well, I don't know about your individual school, but yes, I mean, in terms of financial education...
That was my report, not the school.
Okay, your individual report, yeah. The all-party parliamentary group that kind of came to review how well it was doing, financial education on citizenship, kind of concluded a couple of years ago, question mark was essentially the answer to the report. No one really knows to what extent it is being delivered at scale, at good quality.
And how do you go about delivering the messages and the education yourselves?
Well, certainly as an organisation, I guess our values are about trying to, as I mentioned a couple earlier, making it fun, engaging and relevant for young people. I think money is a fantastically interesting and engaging topic. But if we're honest, it can also be really boring, and actually, the previous conversation you had with Pete there, some things are incredibly boring. So you have to try and tap into what the young people are thinking, doing, where they are in their lives to make it fun and engaging. And I guess once you've done that, you can then engage them in a whole varied amount of sort of learning styles, whether it be sort of active learning or visual learning or kinesthetic kind of activities. And then obviously making sure that what you're delivering to them is going to have real relevance in their lives.
Yeah, and I was looking at your website earlier on, and I saw what you were doing, the project that you ran, the Money House. And I'm actually just going to play a clip from this as well, because I think it's a really interesting thing. So just have a listen to this.
The Money House is a program to provide training to young people around financial confidence. These are young people who have got such chaotic lives. They're not in formal education necessarily. Some of them don't live at home with parents, some of them don't have parents to live with.
I didn't really know about paying rent or paying for bills.
I didn't have any experience in managing money whatsoever.
Ended up kind of getting in a lot of debt with my landlord.
Obviously the Money House project was just to help us work out our monies and how things would be when we got our own place and see if we could budget.
And Steve, if people want to go and have a look at that, if they go on to MyBnk.org and they can find out what they're actually, there's a tab at the top and people can look at the full video there. It's about 3 minutes long, and I found it actually, dare I say, a bit emotional, because you see these people go through this journey, and they said at the beginning that actually we didn't necessarily want to be here. We thought, what's the point? And actually, when they've gone through this project and the workshop with you, how different they were as people, because suddenly they understood money, they understood budgeting, and it also showed them getting onto the ladder and renting the first house, the lady with the daughter. And I think it was quite amazing what you've delivered there. And it's just a shame that more people can't get that sort of access to those sort of educational needs that I think are desperately needed out there.
Well, I agree, and certainly as an organisation, we're always looking to try and expand our work into different areas and work with different sorts of organisations. And I think you're right, and I think the reality of it is that when you're sort of in a supported environment, whether if we're talking about obviously maybe at home with parents or we're talking about schools, the limit of what could go wrong is a sort of an artificial one. So if you're kind of in your teenage years and you're at home, well, if you spend all your money, then probably you're still going to go home and have a hot meal at the table. If you do something wrong at school and you do badly in an exam, or you mess up and the teacher's annoyed, you might have this tension after school, right? So it's bad, but maybe it's not serious. The moment people leave that kind of setting, I guess, some sort of environment where things are sort of sheltered for them to a certain extent, it can all get kind of pretty tricky and pretty difficult quite quickly. So even if obviously if you're a situation that you're kind of being maybe forced out of home, or if you're leaving care, that's an obvious one. But even if you think about a more traditional route, someone who's leaving university, entering university. If you enter university, you're only really missing one rent payment away from, having a solicitor's letter being sent to you within, a month or two,
So what do you think? I would love to get your opinion on this. What do you think about financial education? Were you taught about how to handle and treat your money when you were at school? Do you maybe sit down with your children or grandchildren? What lessons are you trying to teach them about money that can see them better off in their future? 0800 756 1111 or text me on 81333, starting your message with the word Kent. So just lastly on this, Steve, I mean, what you're doing there from the charity point of view, I think is quite incredible. What difference does it actually, you've seen what sort of difference from the videos that are on there that it makes to people, but how, is there a way of measuring it that what would have happened if you'd not got involved in those young people's lives?
Good question. We do our best. It's a very complicated thing to do, but we certainly do our best. So certainly a lot of our work is about doing our own impact measurement of, where the young people come to, where are they when they join us at our programme, where they leave, but also then to do sort of control groups where you sort of see, well, what would happen if we weren't there, and you try and compare the two. And certainly at a younger age, when we talk about primary schools, and obviously actually a lot of the kind of research is suggesting that it's at kind of younger ages that people are really developing the core habits and attitudes that will kind of set them up for life. We can do impact measurement that shows, that we can increase young people's ability to delay gratification, think about the future up to kind of 60-70%. So that is kind of possible. I think what's really interesting is when you get to the older age groups as well, where you can see the kind of real benefits of what works. So obviously you mentioned there the Money House, and I guess, you know, for us, when we look at the kind of impact of what the Money House is, yes, clearly we look at the kind of knowledge, skills and confidence that the young people develop. But we can also, you know, if we work with a local authority, so in the Money House case, it's this Newham Local Authority or Greenwich in London, we'll find that the young people who go through that course are less likely to have rent arrears than their peers, or less likely to be evicted than their peers. And obviously these are real kind of hard, tangible outcomes that we know will have incredible benefits to young people.
And also it's about, I think, setting habits that last a lifetime. And I think when it comes to money, often your first early experiences of how you handle it, how you deal with it, how you see other people deal with it, kind of almost set you up for the rest of your life, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think your point out, the call out to your listeners there about, you know, what would you teach your children? Well, my oldest child is 5, and I've been just starting the journey with her about kind of what you would do in terms of, you know, a pot for spending, but a pot for saving, maybe even a pot for giving, who knows, you know. But certainly, let's say, a lot of the evidence coming out of the Money Advice Service is suggesting that the core drivers of financial capabilities throughout your life are the habits and behaviours and attitudes, and all of these things are formed between really the ages of sort of 5 and 11. So
5 and 11? That's a really early time, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. So we're working with a consortium called Kickstart Money to sort of roll out a primary school programme all about the development of habits and attitudes kind of at a young age.
That is fantastic. Stephen Corris, all the way from MyBnk, the Money House Project, the Director of Quality and Training there from the charity. Thank you ever so much for your time this evening. Really enlightening, and I wish your charity all the best for the future. You're doing a fantastic job there.
Thank you.
BBC Radio Kent Breakfast with John Warnett and Anna Cookson. Back tomorrow from 6.
You're listening to On the Air with David Braithwaite here on BBC Radio Kent. And we're talking about your personal finance and in particular about financial education. What were your money lessons that you first learned and how were you taught them? Was it at school or did you have to find out the hard way? Or maybe you're trying to pass on some words of wisdom to your children or grandchildren. I'd love to hear from you. 800 756 1111 or text me on 81333 starting your message with the word Kent.
Call David now.
0800 756 1111 or text Kent to 81333. David Braithwaite.
This is BBC Radio Kent.
And with me on the line, we still have Pete Matthew from Jackson's down in Penzance in Cornwall. Is it sunny down there, by the way, at the moment, or have you got the weather that we've got?
Not now, man. It's 9:45 in the evening. But yes, we've got pretty good. We got pretty good weather actually. So we've had not a bad day.
Excellent. So in terms of you were listening there to Steve from MyBnk there, what do you think about what they're delivering and how they're actually going about delivering it there with education in schools from the charity point of view?
Oh, I mean, I can't praise it highly enough. I mean, they're doing fantastic work, and more power to them. It looks like they've got some real momentum going. I have a lot of sympathy for schools. The stuff that they have to juggle is enormous. You know, as Steve said, and opting to build in personal finance when that might come at the expense of something else also very important, as he said, mental health, all that sort of stuff is a constant thing that the schools have to juggle. So I've got every sympathy for them.